Well, it's with great pleasure I'm able to introduce Judy Recher, DTM, today. And the heading of the talk is Life in the Slow Lane. In April 2012, Parkinson's New South Wales and Toastmasters International initiated an accredited speakers program which aims to raise community awareness of the impact of Parkinson's disease. Judy Recher, a distinguished Toastmaster, was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2005. As an accredited speaker for Parkinson's New South Wales, she will speak to us today about Parkinson's and its impact on those living with the disease, their caregivers, families, the health services and the nation. Helping others to become aware of Parkinson's will support the efforts of Parkinson's New South Wales in providing assistance, information and improving the quality of life for those affected by the disease. Through her own experiences, Judy will give us a personal glimpse into some of the challenges that she and others with Parkinson's face on a daily basis. Please join me in welcoming Judy Recher.
I sat in that crowded shopping center and I watched him walk past me slowly, carrying a small bag of groceries. And then he stopped and stood there looking down at his feet. And I knew that he was waiting for his brain to make the connection with his feet so he could move forward again. I know this because it happens to me as well. He and I are among the 80,000 Australians who have Parkinson's disease. And today, I would like to thank you for inviting me here to tell you about Parkinson's disease. But before I do that, I have a confession to make. I am an addict. I am addicted to performance-enhancing drugs. I can't live without them. In Australia, Parkinson's disease is the second most common neurodegenerative disease in the country. And yet many people in the community and many health professionals have no idea of the impact of Parkinson's on the lives of those who have it, their carers, their families, their community, the nation as a whole. There is no known cause for Parkinson's disease, but every single day, 30 more people are diagnosed with it. And this number has increased over the last 6 years by 17%. 30 people every day are diagnosed, and 20% of those 80,000 people are within the working age category. 16,000 people in the workforce affected by Parkinson's disease. It has been estimated that the cost to the nation in terms of less productivity, social costs, medical costs, is $7.6 billion in 2011 and 2012. 7.6 billion. And Parkinson's disease is not on the government's list of chronic diseases. That means that an individual can end up paying $12,000 out-of-pocket expenses a year. Those of us living with Parkinson's disease know that we are never alone. Parkinson's New South Wales is part of an international network of community-based organizations, not for profit, who work to make the quality of life of people suffering with Parkinson's and their families, to make that quality of life better and to help them live with the day-to-day challenges of being infected with Parkinson's disease. But infected is not the word we want, of course. So what is Parkinson's disease itself? It's a progressive, debilitating, incurable disease of the central nervous system. Our brains have cells called neurons, which produce a chemical called dopamine, which is essential for smooth body movement. If we do not have enough dopamine, our bodies slow down. They can even stop. And even though there is no single diagnostic test to find out if you have Parkinson's or not, by the time you have been diagnosed with having it, 80% of the dopamine producing cells in your brain are dead before you even start. So what are the symptoms of Parkinson's disease? The one that most people would be familiar with is a tremor, where some part of the body, the arm, the leg, some part of the body shakes uncontrollably. And it can be very difficult for people. Another symptom is rigidity, a lack of flexibility. It is just so hard sometimes to move when you feel like everything is made of lead. Another symptom is a loss of balance. And one of the major causes for Parkinson's victims or patients to really lose their quality of life is falling. That is a very big fear. And also, people can be slow to move. During the course of this talk, it is quite possible that I'm going to change before your very eyes. Right now, I am in an on period with my medication. Those of us with Parkinson's are at the mercy of our medication regime. And when we are switched on, we can move freely, we can do all sorts of things. But we can have an instantaneous shutdown when we switch off, so that our steps change within one step to the next step. And we never know what stage we're going to be at until we're there. So as I say, right now, I am on. But if during the course of this presentation you see me suddenly start to be stiff, without any facial expression, maybe even my voice will change, I don't know. But that's what can happen when we are living with Parkinson's. Now, my life in the slow lane as defined by Parkinson's disease, even though diagnosis is difficult, I became aware in 2005, because my mother had Parkinson's, of things that were happening to me that indicated that I might be getting Parkinson's as well. For example, my right foot seemed to slap when I walked, and my right arm did not swing freely when I walked. I couldn't brush my teeth on the right side of my body. My handwriting became smaller and smaller and smaller until it couldn't be read at all. And my steps were very quick and close together. Now those were the physical symptoms that I became aware of. But I also became aware that I was losing the ability to focus on intellectual type work. Preparing lectures, preparing speeches for Toastmasters, doing my accounts. To test these symptoms, my neurologist gave me a dose of a medication called cinnamon, which is a dopamine type medication. And that reversed all my symptoms. I was back to normal again. So in reality, that is what confirmed my diagnosis. In the beginning, I did not want to know all the things that could happen to me. I was overwhelmed by the power of my body to undermine my security, my self-esteem, my relationships, and my future. In most cases of Parkinson's disease, progression of the disease itself is slow. And management of the disease consists of treating the symptoms as they arise. For example, there's this on-off effect I told you about. In the beginning, 4 courses of medication during the day kept me going all day. Most people would not have known I had Parkinson's. But over time, the medication became less efficient. And it took longer for me to turn on, and the off time came quicker. And then there was one day when I had 30 minutes of on time. And the rest of the day was totally lacking in energy and motivation and enthusiasm. And I thought to myself, is this how it's going to be? But then consulting with my doctor, my neurologist, this minor adjustment in medication had me flying again. There are challenges in living with Parkinson's. It's 8 years since I was diagnosed, and in that time, until recently, my symptoms have had a minimum impact on my life. But there is no way to convince anyone who doesn't have it how devastating it can be to try to do the most simple things with Parkinson's. For example, my friend Sarah has tremors. And when she tries to use a mobile phone, she really can't read what's on the screen. She can't dial the number. She can't listen. She can't talk. Basically, she agrees with me that it's impossible. But she does have one bonus because of her tremors. Above anyone else, her mother, her father, Sarah is able to quiet her new granddaughter, Rosie, quicker than anyone else. She holds her close to her heart and rocks her. She calls herself Grandma Shaky. Another friend of mine, Ian, has had Parkinson's for 16 years. And he and Denise told me a week or so ago that Ian was standing in front of Denise and he was swaying back and forth, back and forth. And she said, "Ian, what are you doing?" And he said, "I'm trying to figure out which one of you to talk to." That might be funny until you realize that Parkinson's is affecting the muscles of his eyes and making him see double. Another problem that those of us have with Parkinson's sometimes is turning over or getting out of bed at night, especially in the wintertime. But I have solved that problem. With my satin nightshirt and my satin sheets, when I turn over, I slide from one side to the other and chase my pillow down the wall. My life with Parkinson's, and anyone who has it, is a series of challenges. But it can show you hidden strengths that you did not know you had. For example, you keep on going when you think you can't go anymore. I'm lucky in the sense that I have a very active lifestyle. I've lived on Dangar Island for more than 40 years. And for the last 10 years, my husband and I have not had a car. I don't know how many of you know the Brooklyn Railway Station, but there's no elevator. There's just 100 steps up and down. They improved it because it used to only be 74, but they were too steep and narrow. So they gave us 100, which is really great. And there's also 49 steps up to my house on Dangar Island. So my husband and I, when we go shopping, we have a shopping trolley. And that shopping trolley goes up and down the steps. One day we brought home between the two of us 37 kilos of groceries. That helps. And also, I take part in a senior exercise class in Brooklyn 3 times a week. I get in my little boat, pling with the motor, chuff over to the Brooklyn, unless the weather's really, really bad. But I don't think I've missed many classes in the last 2 years since I joined. And the importance of exercise in slowing down the progression of the disease can be demonstrated by the fact that we have had at least 5 assessments of the members of the class, of the exercise class. My 5th assessment showed that I was stronger physically than I was 2 years ago when I started the class. And since Parkinson's is a progressively debilitating disease, being stronger with time is an asset. Now, based upon my symptoms, I have 3 main concerns. One is freezing, where you're walking along and your feet get stuck to the floor, and it's very difficult. You think you're moving forward, but you're not, because your feet are holding you there, and that's when people fall. In the 12 years from the time she was diagnosed with Parkinson's, my mother fell 3 times. She broke her arm, she broke her collarbone, and she broke her neck, which meant that she was wearing a halo brace drilled into her skull for 7 months. But there are things you can do to help you in terms of freezing. For me, I have this magic formula which I've had to change recently because my symptoms have changed recently. But basically what happens is I'm walking along, shuffling along, having a happy day here, but not going fast enough for what I want to do, and I say to myself, big steps, big steps, big steps, big steps, big steps. But recently, my shuffling and freezing has increased, and it's harder for me to switch into the big steps. So instead of that, I change it a bit, and I say slow and big, slow and big. There's nothing worse than trying to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and you can't get your feet to move. Slow and big gets me there. And what about the effects of Parkinson's on other parts of my brain? As I said to you earlier, I've noticed over some time an inability to focus on intellectual type work. I taught at Macquarie University. I've been an active member of Toastmasters for almost 20 years, and I've always done our accounts. And all these things became more difficult for me to do. I knew my teaching career was at an end in 2008 when I tried to do a very simple task: match 4 speakers to 4 evaluators. And I couldn't do it. And I stood up at my desk and I said, I can't do this. Fortunately, I have a friend who was able to take over the teaching so the students did not lose. Another aspect of Parkinson's that can be frightening is the loss of the ability to communicate. My friends who know me know that I love being up in front. When I was a little girl, my mother had to pull me out of the bedroom window upstairs where I was doing a striptease for the people down on the sidewalk below. But I don't do that anymore. And I also said to my mother, I wish my mouth went all the way around my head so I wouldn't get tired when I talked. Well, it doesn't, and I don't. But I had an incredible fright a year or so ago. I was talking with some friends. We were having a wonderful discussion. And all of a sudden, everything that I tried to say was totally incoherent. Made no sense at all. And no matter how I tried, I could not say the word smallpox. It only lasted for a very short time, but it was totally terrifying. So let's put these concerns into perspective. I will never be free of Parkinson's disease. But what does this mean? When I look at my illness and I see it as starting in my life, it was like a little red triangular flag at the side of my path. And with it was a message that said, Judy, you're not giving yourself the time to do what's important. So we're going to give it to you. I have to say that I don't dread my future. I don't believe that the worst case scenario is mine. I could worry about what might happen in my future. I could bawl like my mother did. I could lose my ability to communicate. But you know, that's not really important. Because like every single one of you, I can only live here and now in this moment. That's the same with you. None of us can live beyond now. And from where I stand, life looks pretty good. Parkinson's has opened doors for me. It has shown me opportunities to grow. I have so many beautiful, wonderful new friends because of Parkinson's. Years ago, I gave a speech in Toastmasters International, which got up quite high in the contest level. And that speech was called Growing Up. It was about the lessons that I had learned in the decades of my own growing up. And one of the things I said was that you cannot learn the lessons of life until you have lived them. Well, what I have discovered is that those of us with Parkinson's disease lead a triple A life. A for awareness, A for adaptation, and A for acceptance. We are aware of our disease and what it can do and how it affects us, our carers, our families, physically and emotionally. We are aware of the resources that are available to us through Parkinson's New South Wales and medical and social groups that can help us. And we are also aware of ways that we ourselves, as Parkinson's patients, can help. I have volunteered to be part of the study held by Sydney University at the Parkinson's Research Institute, and I will be assessed once a year in my physical, neurological, and psychological levels. And I've even willed them my brain when I'm finished with it. So there are ways that we can help. Parkinson's, the second A is adaptation. Parkinson's is part of our life, but it is not our life. We have to be able to adapt to changes. Our bodies are going to change. Our ability to do things are going to change. Our relationships may change. There will be a lot of pressure on our partners, on our carers, that make it hard for them as well. We have to be able to adjust for these changes. And acceptance is the third A for Parkinson's people. I know that there will be slow times. I know that there will be low times. But when I told my daughters some of my concerns, I got the message back. Enjoy your moments of inability. Have you ever thought that they could be gifts of time from your angels, just to sit and to be? In conclusion, I have Parkinson's disease, but I also have family and friends and support and laughter and love and abundance. What more can I ask? Now, what about you? You also can have a AAA life for Parkinson's. You can make your family and friends aware of Parkinson's and its impact on our community. You can tell them that one of those 30 people a day who are diagnosed with Parkinson's, one of them could be a friend, one of them could be a family member, or one of them could be themselves without knowing that they have it. You also can seek answers to your questions by checking the Parkinson's New South Wales website and getting the information to help you make others aware. And with your help, we can make a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.